Hello, this is Maximus here with Indypride
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
for a game in the great mod for Medieval 2 Call of Warhammer. I'm commanding the Dwarfs in this battle, and I wanted to make I can't say historical, I'm going to say a fantasy dwarven formation, true to lore dwarven formation, using these deployable stakes. My army is 4 Prince Ulthor's Dragon Company. I have 2 Quarrelers and 2 Dwarven Scouts, Dwarf Rangers. Then I have a mix of whatever I can bring, really. Some Longbeards, Greatbeards, everything beardy, basically. These are all variations of small bearded dwarfs with varying levels of armor and ornaments. 4 of these dwarf mortars, and I thought my setup was pretty good, because... yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Okay, so that's his army setup. The beginning of this replay is absolutely ridiculous. Just strap in, boys. It gets pretty crazy. I'm playing Kislev today. I've got 4 Streltsy. They're just a missile infantry unit with Berdish axe halberds on, or I guess axes on the end of their guns, which is pretty.
Completely normal to run around with gun axes.
Of course, yeah. Only in Warhammer, I guess.
Yep.
And then I have main line of 4 Berserkers, and then 3 of these. Where are they? They're back here. The Kreml Guard, very powerful 2-handed axe unit, heavily armored. They kill stuff in melee. And then I have kind of a special unit here. Oh, camera works so bad. The Kvasniks. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it. They throw basically Molotov cocktails. They drink a lot of vodka. They're a crazy unit. And then out on my flank, I have 3 of these Griffin Legion, which look a lot like the Winged Hussars for the Polish. And then for the rest of my cavalry contingent, I have 2 Bear Cavalry, the Sons of Ursun. They use 2-handed great swords. Very high charge bonus, very powerful in melee. So we're going to press play on the replay.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, play. I forgot my most important unit. The Ice Mages. They cost, I think, 15,000 gold crowns or so. We're playing on a 50,000 gold crown game. And what Maximus' deployment is going to be a problem. His deployment is going to be a problem because the Ice Mages have a massive AoE attack and very long range. So what we're going to see here, the Ice Mages are going to open up very soon. We actually see the mortars, and they're going to go right for my cannons, and my cannons are going to get done, actually.
I focused on the cannons right away, because that was the first unit I saw. The cannon gets hit pretty badly, but of course I should have been. I didn't even see these Ice Mages. Now they're going to start to fire, and here we go. The carnage. Oh my
carnage
god.
begins. There were dwarves there before. There were some dwarves.
Like these elite units of mine, they're losing 40-50 men a pop here. And my plan, my deployment plan was to create these stakes here, push the Quarrelers forward. But this just means that my entire army is sitting duck for these Ice Mages.
It was so curious. I just kind of looked at his opponent. I was like, "That's a kill box, and I think I might be able to do some damage in." So the Ice Mages, like you can see, they have a massive AOE attack. It's kind of like the Bright Wizards, but they're much more accurate. And I mean, these really heavily armored dwarf warriors that would take forever to cut down in melee combat are just kind of falling.
Yeah. You see
super fast.
My Greatbeards, they're doing fine. But the unit next to them, the Longbeards, they are just disintegrating. Same with the Hammers. Just nothing I can do about this. And I haven't even started firing at your mages yet.
And one of the problems with the dwarves is they're really slow.
Yep.
And they're obviously heavily armored, so you'd expect that. But like, you were taking all that fire, and it doesn't even really matter if you pull out right away. Like, they don't move fast.
Yeah.
And like, there were plenty of things to micro at the moment, because
they don't move fast, and the area of effect is big enough anyway that you're going to be hitting multiple units.
Yeah, you can just see this entire group of dwarves just completely just shattered and dead, lying broken on the battlefield. And he's just pulling out behind the stakes, but
and at this point, I basically lost the game. If you look at all the dwarven carnage here, you've lost, what, a few cannon crews, and I've lost hundreds of dwarves.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for you right now. So now you're starting to fire into the Ice Mages. I've lost 3 of them so far, and I'll probably end up losing more. But like we said, the damage has kind of been done at this point. Yeah. God, they have like Peyton Manning arms right now. No, you know what? That's a bad. Let's say Aaron Rodgers arms right now. Like, they can throw these things super far. Like, their animation is really just like throwing the balls up into the air, but coming down, killing a lot of these guys, and I'm quickly flanking my Sons of Ursun out to the side. And this is another problem with the dwarves, which Maximus can expand on, but they don't have cavalry, and that kind of allows you to get surrounded pretty
Oh
easily.
yeah,
So the stakes are going
it's
to
going
help
to
a
happen
lot.
every single time, and the only way the dwarves can stop that is by. The plan was to focus on your Sons of Urson with my artillery, but of course that plan went to shit when I had to start focusing on this tiny unit with all of my artillery. And they're still not dead.
There's still 2 left, which, I mean, I don't know how much damage 2 ice mages can do. Probably a decent amount, honestly.
Oh yeah.
But, oh, really nice shot from the mortar right there. Killed a bunch of my berserker. Well, actually didn't kill any of the berserkers, but knocked them down.
2 hit points.
Killed a bunch of the streltsy. Yeah, the 2 hit points. That's a really important thing about Kislev. Berserkers are apparently not a regular Kislev unit. They're a mortar, or not a mortar unit. They're a mercenary unit. And they have 2 hit points, so they don't have a lot of armor, but they actually tank out in melee for a very long time with those 2 hit points.
Yeah. So 2 hits from a mortar, 2 direct hits, only 10 berserkers dead, whereas the ice mages, and you can see I've given orders ages ago for these dwarves to rush up and sort of stop the surround. But they're just taking their sweet time.
Sweet ass time.
Yeah.
So berserkers are going to charge in now to the Prince Ulthur's Dragon Company. That should go very well for me, especially because a lot of these dwarf units are already pretty depleted at the moment.
And the Dragon Company, high armor, high defense, but they don't have 2 hit points, and they just get surrounded and slaughtered by the berserkers. We should see the same thing over here. We have Longbeards with axes, but they're not going to do too well either against the berserkers.
No, and I am now moving up some of my most important units. Now, Kvasniks, it's pretty easy to kind of ignore them. They're only 62 men in the unit, but they throw as Molotov cocktails, and I'm going to move them up right next to this dwarf line and start doing a ton of damage. But actually, before that happens, the Griffin Legion is coming in, and what I'm going to do first, charge right onto a bunch of stakes. Naturally, that's what you want to do with your cavalry.
No problem.
Get absolutely butchered. Didn't realize that he had stakes facing the other way, which was really smart, because he knew that he'd be facing some cavalry. And you can see me trying to pull through, and it's not working well at all. Just lost a bunch of men, but I did charge my other units into important units, killed some mortars there, and killed some hammerers, and now I have my Kreml Guard moving into the mortars as well.
Now the Kvasniks are starting to do their thing on Prince Ulthur's Dragon Company, and literally in 10 seconds they've destroyed the unit. So they've paid for themselves in, like, usually I would have some, you would have some skirmishers, you would have some cavalry, unless you're the dwarves. I didn't see this during the game, but I actually managed to charge the Kvasniks and it just didn't help.
No, they were, I mean, at that point there were, what, there were 10 men left at the Dragon Company, and they're dead. Look at this, look at the line of men that died there. They're just they had no idea what was happening. The entire unit just died in the first volley, like, completely ridiculous. And Kvasniks are not expensive either, so if you bring 1 or 2 of those, it's pretty much always worth their cost, because they just don't cost very much. Moving up a bunch of my Kreml Guard and my Griffin Legion, kind of broken the pike stake box at the moment, and killing everything in the middle, and for some reason the balance bar is still like 50-50, which is not representative of what's actually happening in this battle at all.
Well, sure, the stats of the dwarves are great, but it doesn't take into account the issues they have with their 2-handed units. And, of course, the Kvasniks. Just... but the Greatbeards are not taking that much damage from Kvasniks.
They have 2 hit points, right?
2 hit points, shields, armor,
really
helps a lot.
Armor, yeah.
But everywhere else, I mean, you're just surrounding my feeble dwarven stakebox.
It wasn't feeble to start with. It got feeble pretty quick, though.
Yeah, it did. Because I didn't expect you to bring mages. I don't know why I didn't expect mages, but I mean, I was expecting us to duke it out with artillery for some time, and then for me to have the time to be able to sort of move units around, fire a bit at the cavalry, hold the line with my Dragon Company, but there were no Dragon Company left to hold anything. Just a bunch of dead dwarfs.
Yeah, so I got a really nice hammer and anvil off of the Sons of Urson here. This Longbeard with axe is completely surrounded. Again, some more Longbeards over here, tied up with my Griffin Legion and my Sons of Urson, and the Kreml Guard are also getting into melee now. And at this point, with all these depleted dwarfs, I mean, the Greatbeards and the Elders and some of those other high-tier dwarf units would do great against Kreml Guard normally, but the Kvasniks and the Ice Mages really made their presence felt before this battle even started. So, like, a lot of these dwarves are at half strength or a quarter strength before they even get into melee, and at that point, they have absolutely no hope against these higher-tier Kislev
with
units.
the dwarves, yeah, you have artillery, you have some nice ranged units, but you lack you have miners. They are basically like crossnakes, but unless you're able to, you don't have the mobility to use them as effectively as crossnakes can be used for Kislev, because of the cavalry, because of the great cavalry, and of course the bear cavalry of Kislev. Much more tanky than other cavalry units.
And just the angle the Kvasniks have right now, like they've had enough time at this point that the Greatbeards, even with their 2 hit points, they just can't stand up to it anymore. The fire's too much for them, just burning them through their armor, cooking them alive. And this is about as bad as it could possibly get. Like if you're dressed in Gromril armor and just completely burned alive like that, that can't be fun.
That's not a good time.
No,
not a good time for anyone. So at this point, there's really nothing I can do. Everything is engaged. Indypride has some free units firing into the backs of my dwarves as they're fighting and just basically mopping up my formation. But I don't think the type of formation I used here has ever worked for anyone against a decent player. Like, concentrating your forces on a pretty small part of the battlefield is usually a bad idea.
Well, I mean, pike boxes work in some games, like Rome 2, especially when pikes were really strong. Like,
if there were ice mages in Rome 2, pike boxes.
I mean, it's a good point. Yeah, you can't pike box when there are the extremely long range, extremely powerful units like ice mages or even artillery.
Yeah,
like,
even mortars would just shred any kind of box. But that's what I think is pretty cool about this mod. There are a few units that make you rethink basically everything about...
Just one unit can make you rethink your entire strategy.
Absolutely,
exactly.
Absolutely. So while I was focused here on, okay, I'm going to have to try to defend against cavalry. Well, cavalry wasn't the main problem here. Not even close.
So I got my Kvasniks behind his main line and got some more Molotov cocktails into the back there, and this has just been... Like, the first 30 seconds of that replay were some of the most brutal moments I've ever seen in a Total War game. Because you don't expect to... And this happened later on when we played Dark Elves versus High Elves, which we might show as well at some point. But the battle basically starts, and you start losing men. And you start losing men really fast. And you're like, what's going on? What's happening? Oh,
I can't do anything about this. I messed up.
It's just... the Ice Mage is killing my whole army.
Yeah.
No biggie.
And the Dwarfs can't bring any magic of their own. They have the Anvil of Doom, but that's like a shitty, expensive artillery unit. What makes the mage unit so powerful is they have a fairly high rate of fire, good accuracy, and they have 10 men per unit. So it's essentially like having 10 cannons with crazy accuracy and a huge area of effect.
So we're just going to see a little bit of melee combat here until the end of the game. There's not actually, I can barely see anything left on the field. You just have a couple long beards left.
3 elders holding out here. And
yes, I see them.
Just nothing.
Unit models for them are so badass.
Defeat is a distinct possibility.
Oh, it might be, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Creative Assembly. Thank you, Warhammer creators. Oh, he just got an axe to the face. It's so mean. So that's basically that. I think we can fast forward to the end of this replay because this is over and we can look at the unit stats.
I was just mopping up the few dwarfs that are left, and there are literally just a few single dwarfs standing.
Oh, General was your last man to die, actually.
Yeah, he has a lot of hit points.
So that was that. It's actually really interesting. One thing that I noticed, CA released that dwarf video a couple days ago. Their unit models actually look very much like the unit models in Call of Warhammer, which I'm sure is all based on the tabletop game, but it's very interesting to see that because this came out a couple of years ago at least, and they have almost the exact same models. I'm so excited for the dwarves in Total War Warhammer.
Oh yeah. But thing is, if dwarves had stuff like the gyrocopter, or the gyro bomber, or the other ridiculous units, then dwarves would be much more viable because that gives them at least some mobility.
Yeah, the thing about Call of Warhammer is that these rosters, these factions, don't have access to everything they have in the tabletop, or that they'll have in Total War Warhammer. So we're looking at like something like vampire counts. They don't have Terrorgeists in this mod. They don't have the flying units. No faction have their flying units. Yeah, exactly. So while this is representative in a lot of ways and is really well done mod, like just an extremely well done mod, it is lacking some of the things that make Warhammer what it is, because you can't do flying.
They are mainly engine limitations.
Yes.
You can't just put a dragon in and have it fly around and scorch things from the sky.
Look really goofy if they did.
Yeah. And we'll see later on some of the demons and stuff they've put in. They've managed to make it work, but it looks goofy. Like you can see, they've used a model that was never intended to be a demon running about with flamethrowers out of their hands. Like, I was a bit outside of the scope of Medieval 2.
A little bit, just a teeny bit. I'm not sure Creative Assembly was really planning on adding those flamers of Zinch into their game.
Didn't see that one coming.
Looking at the kills though, Ice Mage's 340 kills, most of those within the first couple minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Kvasnik's 322. I don't think I've ever seen a unit more cost effective.
Oh, that was
they cost
quite
like
insane.
2,000 or like 1,500.
But have a look at the Berserkers, 125, 88, 96, and then compare that to the Kreml Guard. 56, 41, 31.
Yeah. The 2 hit points matters a lot.
Oh yeah, extremely important. Extremely important. There are some units with, I think trolls have something like 10 hit points. And those units are, the balance in this mod is, I mean, it's very high on the fun scale. Like it's really fun seeing ice mages and elven mages just wrecking shit, but there are some units that are near impossible to counter for certain factions.
It's very based on army compositions and just what your roster can actually bring to the field. The micro can be important, but honestly, most of the games I played on this mod weren't decided by like extremely good micro either way.
They're decided by army composition and deployment.
Yeah. It's macro play, basically.
Yeah, basically. But it's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. But that's that replay. I ended up losing 800 men. He lost 2143. Only 22 men escaped the battlefield alive. 4 dwarves. Oh my god.
Bad day for the dwarves.
Yeah, bad day. So that's that replay. But we got more Total War or Call of Warhammer Total War coming your way. More replays, and we'll be casting some more games together. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll be bringing you some more soon.
Strength and honor.
Peace.